Kratos is strong as crap. He's a deity. Part of the reason why he's so strong is because he has the genetics of Zeus himself. On top of the fact he's went through his fair share of character progression over the years. He has a lot of weapons, but doesn't need the weapons to be strong because his literal muscles themselves are strong as hell. It just makes his job easier because he has the godlike strength on top of the godlike weapon. Kratos at the beginning of his journey, far less weaker than him at the end of his journey or older Kratos. One could say the older he gets, the stronger he gets. He's consistently overpowering beasts that are building size and overpower them physically, whether it be pushing, pulling, and etc. Throwing folks through pillars, can pull big things with just raw strength. This big old tentacle, he can just stop with raw strength like that. These big tentacles can throw ships that far, and he can just stop these type of tentacles. Pull it with his raw strength. Flips this giant structure like he's literally flipping something that's like the size of a temple or a building. Get an idea of his strength. More in this same boss battle, how he can just toss this big thing around. Big creatures like this, he can literally just pull over a wall because he's that freaking strong again, and pull structures on him too. Every creature you can think of, he's overpowered. Even giant hydras, like from mythology, because he's in the Greek lore, strong enough to leg press large statues. Like that. On top of him being the son of Zeus, technically, he also got an amp on top of this known as the legendary Pandora's Box amp. A lot of people consider this the mightiest weapon or just power up in the game's universe in general. He got it in the first game, and he appears to have had it throughout the entire saga, and Kratos didn't even know it. He went to go get the Pandora's Box amp again and found out that the box was empty because he already had it inside him all these years. This could kind of explain why he was able to kind of just destroy every god on the Olympus and stuff of that such. No matter what god came across his path, he could take him out. When he opened the Pandora's Box, he got powered up more than ever before. This is like his first major power. We see him actually able to compete with actual god of war like Ares, grows big as crap, and gains his power comparable to him. You can literally see him physically strong enough to fight Ares without necessarily using no weapon, a match of tug of war type stuff. Ares can do little minor stuff like this. This is actually a low end feat compared to what I'm going to show you later on in the video, what these gods are capable of. Long behind pillars, he can just throw them for miles. Pick it up like that, and he tosses it around in combat like it ain't even heavy, you know. Means he sees the statue, get the heck out of my way. Strong enough to topple over multiple stone pillars because he's that strong. Kratos forever lifting giant temples, guys. Normal things for him to do. The entirety of it down. In God of War 2, Colossus Road statue that Zeus made, not only did he resist the weight of the statue, but the weight of the statue plus the fact that it's empowered by Zeus himself in the first place because it's alive, lets you know his power. Can swing a hand right at him during the boss fight. Ridiculously large pillars in this lair with the Titan in God of War 2, of course. Notice how he was about to get chomped by this big being. He can use his physical strength to open up his mouth like that. Notice how he impaled Ares here. He was right in the epicenter of an explosion. Thanks to Ares' death and the collateral of his death, Kratos just stabbed him, and he's right there in the middle of all of that explosion like that. Like a town-sized or city-sized explosion. He survived all this. Hi everyone, I survived. In the new God of War games, when he was older, you actually can see him visually heal at extremely fast speeds on the spot. Notice how he got shot in the chest by an electrified arrow that was super enchanted. The fact that he's been in battles that's shaking the very foundation of Poseidon's kingdom. Kratos has to have durability to match his super strength. He would like bust his knuckles every time he punched if his body can handle the recoil of these big beings he be fighting. When he was God of War for a little bit, he could take long drops like that, and he lands on his legs while he's huge in this particular occasion. An example would be in this occasion with the Colossus Road statue, flying that far, going through stuff. Just landing, and he's okay. He has to have durability to be able to stand all this stuff. He took a massive lightning strike from the Skyfather Zeus himself that blew back the literal personification of the earth itself, Gaia, blew him back. Endured a massive amount of electricity. One of his best feats of all time, overpowering Atlas himself, a freaking titan that be fighting with the gods from of old, and showing his power against the top tiers of the universe. Literally a mountain-sized being, he's overpowering him physically. Kratos physically overpowered the same Atlas that when you dig deep into the lore of God of War, same Atlas that was able to hold up an infinite sky. Not to mention Atlas's uncle, who he's comparable to because he's another Titan. Hyperion, his uncle, has this thing called the Hyperion Spear. This spear is described to be forged inside the sun's core. This spear possesses the strength to bear the weight of the cosmos, and this statement is not an exaggeration. It is to be taken literally because the writers or directors of the game even confirm it. Word of God statement. They confirm that the description is true. Further confirmation talking about more questions that some fans were asking him. Since the spear was forged inside the sun's core, was Hyperion who forged it? He said that is correct. You're probably thinking, why does all this matter to Kratos? Well, remember, this is just the scope of what these weapons are capable of in this universe, and guess what Kratos got amped by? Freaking Pandora's Box itself, which is confirmed to be the most powerful weapon on Earth or on Olympus in general. So not only is Kratos powered up by something that's above this weapon that has the power to hold the weight of the cosmos on it, but he's powered up by something that's better than this. He overpowered a being like this who can hold up the infinite sky like this. Kratos fights these gods and overpowers them physically, or even their creatures, that gives these titans a run for the money when it comes to their strength. In this occasion, one of the gods was even given Gaia, literally avatar of the earth itself, by the way. More proof that he's on this level of the gods. How about this fight with Hades, of course, one of the top tier gods of Olympus. One could say he ain't that far away from Zeus. Literally has a physical tug of war with Hades himself, of course, while striking him with his long range blades of exile, of course. Don't forget that Hades has done this to mountain-sized titans like Kronos before. Kratos also has overpowered Kronos too when he tried to crush him between his mountain-sized fingers. Another occasion of him overpowering something that's mountain-sized. He's way stronger than what his size implies. So he's mountain-sized, but he's way stronger than it, and Kratos can overpower him physically without using any weapons here. That's a straight muscle. You're probably thinking Kratos only overpowered his fingers. Kronos tried to thunderclap smash him like a fly, and Kratos still physically overpowered him without using any weapons right here. Pushed his hand off. Another reason why overpowering Kronos physically and just raw strength without necessarily using the blade of Olympus like he did here a second later is because Kronos is way stronger than what you probably think. God of War all started with cosmic type beings like the Primordials, for example, and Kronos literally took on one of the Primordials, a battle that was narrated or shown briefly in one of the older games. Notice how one of the Primordials looks like a literal living universe as they're having a cosmic type battle. Like creating stuff as they punch in. It's just cosmic in status. The Primordials and having war and stuff. These Primordials did create the entire universe. Confirmed they did create the universe. The writers just confirmed it. Uranus gave life to the universe. Son of Chaos, father of the universe. The writers of the game or game directors confirmed that Kronos, the guy that Kratos overpowered physically, overthrew his parents that created the universe.
They overthrew their parents. Kronos castrating Uranus and basically overthrowing his parents. He dismembered his own dad, right? And overthrown his dad.
A lot of people said, we didn't see how the fight went down. Well, it's one of those fights that happened off screen where Kronos literally beat his own father. The writers even confirm it. Yes. They even go as far as saying the battle was cosmic in scale. More proof that it had a cosmic fight and Kronos won. Kratos physically overpowering this guy is a big deal. It's literally proven yet again in the description about this blade. They call it the Betrayal of Uranus. How he betrayed his father. It's the son and father rivalry hatred thing. Just like Kratos doing it to his own father, Zeus. It's kind of like a cycle. They want to fit a narrative around in the God of War lore. Not to mention he literally is the reason why time exists too. Yeah, his birth led to the creation of time itself. Yeah, crazy, right? Primordials had the power to create the universe. They're the reason why universes and galaxies even exist. Kronos had the power to overthrow universe creation type beings in a cosmic scale battle, beating his own father. This guy that overthrew universal type beings, when this guy tried to smash Kratos with his bare hand, Kratos had the strength to overpower his fingers with his strength. Even trying to get smashed, even be able to stand with getting clapped with his raw strength. Not to mention Kratos has literally physically overpowered the physical strength of Atlas, a being that can lift the infinite sky, supposedly, or a universe-sized structure, apparently. He also physically overpowered a being multiple times in the same game, even trying to get fly swatted by him, a being that overthrew or had a cosmic battle with his own father that created the entire universe. Based on all this evidence, Kratos should be able to support the weight of the cosmos as well, since these titans that he physically overpowered with his muscles can do the same. He should be able to lift a universe-sized structure as well, because his muscle matches those same guys' muscles that can lift the entire structure like that in the lore. So technically he's strong enough to lift an entire universe up. But Ivan, Kratos can't be that strong because he has to do puzzles to get to the next area of the game. The directors have poked fun at this. Pretty much explains the mechanics, really see these ridiculous feats portrayed on screen or in the game itself, and pretty much pokes fun at it.
No matter what game we worked on, people are like always pointing out Kratos is a god, he can take down these giant creatures, yet he struggles with a chest. It is just one of those concessions that in order to get the dynamics within the game, yes, sometimes you have to struggle and press the button to lift up a gate.
Yeah.
But he can lift up, the world.
Yeah.
But he can lift up, the world.
Yeah.
But he can lift up, the world with Atlas. And it is that you'd never be able to have any dynamics in the game if it was always adhering to that one reality.
And he basically said it will be too hard to make a game as fun as God of War to its entirety and also show off their ridiculous scope of power and strength while also making the game fun where you got to press the button, open and chat, and different mechanics of that such. So basically it's a game mechanic. Like on Final Fantasy VII Remake, for example, Cloud is strong enough to slice open big old slabs of concrete but needs a key to unlock certain doors, needs a key to get through this door or window right here. Solving puzzles is a part of a lot of different games. In God of War comic books, you don't ever see them do puzzles because the puzzles itself aren't really necessarily a part of the journey. Obviously, some things are a part of the journey in the game, but not all things like the puzzle. If the puzzle were truly a part of the journey, you would probably see the puzzles happen in the comic books, but they don't. You know, we do see a part of the comic book, which is a deep part of the lore, Kratos portraying his super strength. It comes a thing of, you just have to use your common sense to really figure out, oh my God, is Kratos really struggling to open in the chest? Like, but in the lore, he's not, y'all. It's a game mechanic. It would be like saying Goku isn't faster than the speed of light, because in the animation style, we can see his fist moving and we can see him moving like that, but obviously they're moving too fast for a human eye to see. But for animation fun purposes, they do this for our enjoyment. That's the same thing with Kratos when it comes to video games and game mechanics. Cloud has the strength to slice big chunks of debris like this, but needs a key to get through certain doors or glass windows. Like, really guys, if you control Cloud in the game and you go up to a random pole and you try to cut the pole in half with your sword and it doesn't do nothing, you try to say Cloud can't cut this up, even though he cut up stuff way bigger than this. The game does not want you to cut this particular part of the environment up, which is why he can't do it. It's a game mechanic. In the narrative, that doesn't mean he can't do it with raw power. In the narrative, it's just the game doesn't want you to actually cut it. Like if this was a movie and he tried to do this, he would cut through it. If it was a comic and he tried to cut this, it would cut through it. But not when you're controlling him in the game. Kratos seems to have resistance to Hex, like resisting getting his soul ripped out by Hades. He then proceeds to steal in Hades' weapon, then proceeds to pulling Hades' soul out of his body with Hades' own weapon. One could say this is another power-up for Kratos in God of War 3. Don't forget that Atlas got his soul pulled out by Hades. This is the same Hades that Kratos overpowered. This is something that needs to be considered to really show off his power even more. Hades got a power-up from the literal Titan himself, Atlas, getting sucked inside of him, his soul itself. It is confirmed that Hades sucking your soul does make him stronger, so the same should technically apply for Kratos, because Kratos literally used these same weapons to suck his own soul out, which could possibly explain why Kratos is so overpowered. He got the Pandora's box power up, and then he got the power of hope. Then he got souls in him that he absorbs. When it comes to God of Strength level characters, literally got in contest of strength with the man, the myth himself, Hercules himself, when it comes to just raw freaking strength, to further prove that his strength is not an exaggeration. He's literally fighting him with strength. This is an occasion of strength right here, not using no weapons right here in this occasion, just pushing him back with raw strength and tackling him. Remember that characters like Hades are not even the god of strength, and they're strong enough to overpower mountain-sized titans. Hercules can even do stuff like this. This is casual work. Probably the stupidest thing Hephaestus could ever done. Why would you try to overpower somebody that literally beat Hades, dude? Like, come on now. Can you respect how he was able to stop this trident with his bare hands? Fighting the Skyfire themselves, Zeus with the blades, of course. Shoving him like that with his strength. Kratos can't harm these gods without his weapons. Well, what about one of the strongest guys of them all, Zeus himself? He's literally punching him with his bare fist, and the attack seemed to hurt. You can literally see blood coming off him. But they wouldn't have him punching if his strength was just useless in comparison to his power. His weapons do help out, but he still has the power in general. His strength is proven when he's just scuffling with characters like Atlas like this. The fact that he literally balled up his fist, didn't even use his blades to punch out Poseidon, beatdown style fashion, headbutts, fist punching and everything, shows that he's super strong without his freaking weapons, guys. Choking him out and everything, he can't even defend himself. It's almost sad to watch or hard to watch. Yeah, so he can take out deities with his bare hands, guys. Helios was already battle damaged from the Titan, but he was still strong enough to finish them all with his bare hands, showing his super strength. To do this to a normal person would still take super strength. Do it like that without even twisting his head off, just with raw blunt strength. Of course, he obliterated the Furies because he's too strong. He tried to trick him, and it didn't work. The mind games, he's got too much mental fortitude. Say night night to the Furies, yell in pain. Strong enough to fight all three Furies too, using his combat skills, and even indenture their face stomping action. Literally appears to be touching like the sharp part of the blade. So you gotta have some type of durability. Overpowering Zeus on the occasion of tug of war too. Seriously, how do you kill this guy? Even after the events of this, he literally got impaled by the one of the most powerful weapons in all of the game's lore. And he survived all this, and he's in a new God of War game that's after this, so he had to survive it somehow. Supposedly released some of the power of hope to the world, the big amp that he got years ago, but he finally awakened it in this game, and then he gave it back up and stuff. You know, the fact that he stayed conscious for a little bit after this massive hole in him is kind of ridiculous, but still survived it somehow. Death cannot claim him. When he awakened the power of hope from Pandora's box and stuff, he literally beat the crap out of Zeus with his bare hand. For those people that say, oh, he needs his weapons. No, in this particular power-up state, beating Zeus to death with this level of power. No matter his age, he can still lift gigantic tree trunks over his shoulders with ease. Of course, this is nothing compared to the stuff he should be able to lift up based on the people he fight or fought in the past, because he's just on a whole new level of power. Gotta respect the strength. He's fighting a top tier being on his level, throws this big old tree branch, and then proceeds to running through debris, through thick rocks, literally break out of the rock. Trees are just getting bullied as collateral with their punches. I feel bad for nature. Then he can just use the tree as a weapon and pick it up and just spear you with the freaking tree for the most part, going through all of this BS. During the battle of the boss, just casually just breaks apart some monument that was made of stone. Just can move big stuff like that. In God of War 2018, we're technically in the new mythology. Big part of the game, Kratos fought a new adversary known as Baldur, who's a top tier. It's pretty much proven that they're relative in strength. They're creating shockwaves when they're literally clashing in physical strength, and they're toppling the land with their strength. Literally see them splitting stuff around the place from them pushing with that much force. And no weapons, Kratos is using raw power. They're producing this much energy with them two just clashing. Based on all the stuff and godlike stuff Kratos has fought and had to deal with, this makes perfect sense. So can lift these big little rocks. They faced off against giant trolls that are bigger than him. It doesn't matter because he's faced a lot bigger and a lot worse, especially these are like mini boss type beings. Still does ridiculous strength stuff like putting this piece of the bridge back together so he can pull it like in the wheel. See the strength like that again, and strong enough to push the entire bridge with raw strength. Giant boulder he can lift overhead, things that are extremely heavy, because why not? Boss battle with this big old dragon. This dragon was trying to chomp, able to hold this dragon's mouth open with his strength, uses this little piece of debris to stab this dragon with and pull it like that, pushing against the dragon's wheel, showing his raw power. Respected. Can rip big boulders out of the ground randomly during combat. Strength. Briefly supports the hammer overhead with strength, so it wouldn't crush both of them. Just to get perspective on how big this freaking hammer was, like a mountain-sized hammer. I'm just saying, yeah, the environment just suffers the most. Like, cracking my only way to get to the tallest realm, man. And this big old ship tears it up with his strength. Much strength. Literally flips over the entirety of Tyr's temple with raw strength, which was built on an axle, which is why it was able to even be flipped. Makes perfect sense for his strength to be able to do that. Like, yo, talking about raw power.
The whole room is built on some kind of axle.
Punches down this troll and then breaks his neck. Yeah, you ain't nothing to Kratos. This mountainside corpse that was getting manipulated by Fred at the time, because them and Fred was falling out, of course. He was able to lift up a big chunk of his hand, despite him being super big like this. This big old stone thing that he threw at him, Kratos can just shatter it, showing his strength. Matching Baldur in power in general. Huge ogres that he can hit that hard. Another example of his power, how he can just punch through stuff like that. Most mythology gods like fighting the sons of Thor in power, even getting an advantage over them, even taking one of them out permanently. Which is probably going to lead to him fighting Thor and messing up his son. But he was super mad. He just literally overpowered another son of Thor. He overpowered his lightning. In raw power in general, showing that he's stronger than him. Sends a metal gate flying with a kick. His shield or weapons is durable enough to like literally break through a stone ceiling. Reason matching Baldur in just raw strength, because this guy Baldur is insane. Just like the other deities Kratos has fought, Baldur is pretty freaking strong too. Heck, for most of the game, he was invulnerable to death. The world serpent snake, the giant planet-sized snake. Look at the sound of these hits that Baldur is producing. He's literally creating like earthquakes inside of him. He's hitting them so hard. Knocked Kratos out of the serpent, and the serpent itself literally got knocked the freak out. Impressive because of the sheer size it is. It's literally planet size and it spans all of Midgard. But also, the serpent fought Thor of this universe was strong enough to.
Thor attacked, and their battle could be felt across all the realms. Their battle could be felt across all the realms. Ultimately, it ended in a stalemate. The serpent stayed and grew so large, he now spans all of Midgard.
Hurting the big snake.
Oh, no biggie. Baldur just knocked something out that was able to battle Thor himself and have power enough that it can be felt across all of the freaking realms or universes. Oh, just no big deal. He just knocked that thing out. No big deal. Kratos just casually fighting this being that just knocked it out like that. No big deal, right? The serpent and Thor splintered the Yggdrasil tree.
Jormungandr and Thor battle at Ragnarok. Their clash so violently shakes the tree of life that it splinters, casting the serpent backward through time, even before his own birth. That is madness.
Notice how even Kratos was like, dang, that's madness. Other beings like Surt the Brave
Forged his sword of flame for one purpose alone, to burn down Asgard when Ragnarok comes at last. His destiny is to fall at the hands of Thor and Odin, but in so doing, strike the blow that leaves their realm in ash and ruin. From that destruction, the world can be born anew. Surt the Brave, Fire Realm, bringing heat to the young cosmos, conjuring the sun from his primordial flame.
These shrines in the games. Translated, when it comes to Kratos' fighting speed, the cutscenes don't really do it justice on how you can perceive it. Realistically, he would move too fast for a human eye to perceive. An example is how he's able to fight a teleporting time manipulator type character in his boss fight, of course. Kratos doesn't have no problem reacting to these set beings. Like I said, they're still slowing it down for our enjoyment. Example of his speed. Kratos fighting the Sisters of Fate. People kind of underestimate how big of a threat this is. Beings have ridiculous speed considering what their abilities are, having the threads of fate.
You're usually viewed as three old women. It's the web of your life. Lachesis measures it. Atropos, the worst of the three, cuts it.
We control your destiny, foolish mortal!
She snipped your thread of life. That was it. Boom. Straight off to the underworld.
No matter how nice you are to her, it doesn't matter. You cannot change your fate.
Everyone's life is a thread woven and cut by the sisters whenever they deem. So they are more powerful than the gods, more powerful than the titans, more powerful than anybody in the mythological world.
They're the puppet masters. I mean, they are controlling the threads of every person's life.
A very small number of characters are blessed with a gift of choice. The most famous example is the hero Achilles.
Kratos' whole story is all about fate. There's an issue going on in the franchise and in the series about how much control will man have over his own destiny.
You no longer control my destiny.
You do not defy fate, Kratos!
Everybody's life is supposed to be mapped out. He's going to be the one person to basically not be mapped out by somebody. He's not going to let anybody, a god, a titan, or even the Sisters of Fate, control his destiny.
Your soul will never find peace for what you have become.
I am what the gods have made me.
His whole life really been kind of a pawn of the gods and really kind of screwed over by them.
These Sisters of Fate are more powerful than the gods and titans, and the fact that they have threads that's connected to everybody's fate throughout the entire world, and they can control it whenever they feel like it. It's kind of like what, a speed feat as well, because that's a lot of freaking threads that's connected to every single person or being or god or titan. That type of thing. This is the main reason why the Titans didn't win the war, because they deemed it worthy. They deemed it so. Sisters of Fate are so powerful they can basically multitask and control all the multiple fates of everybody on the planet at once. That takes speed. Kratos had no problem reacting, fighting these beings, and even killing the Sisters of Fate. There are so many threads are even stated to connect to any point of the world in the lore. States here is being the creator of so many destinies was a taxing chore, but she enjoyed it. Yeah, these sisters, to make it even worse, there is even lore of threads that the fates can control between fishes, the oceans. Like, there's literally threads all over the world, and they control them all at once, multitask style. They are aware of everything that's going on at once. Do you know how hard that is? Like, in real life, you know, somebody's dying almost every other second, right? They're basically in charge of people dying. It's like them writing a book. How do you defeat somebody that can control your fate? Speed feat as well, because they have ridiculous speed to be able to control everything and know what's going on, multitask style at the same time all at once. Saying they even have control over the river's destiny. How the heck do you have control over a river's destiny? They even have control over the continent's destiny. Like, that's just hard for me as a human to even fathom, you knowing exactly when every single thing or river or landscape or ocean is going to die. That takes some reflexes, because it happens like literally every second. So if you, okay, this person dies. Okay, this person lives. Oh, it's like you're doing this like literally every second, like, and they do this casually. Like, that's just, it takes a lot to really get people to understand why this is a speed feat, because a lot of people don't think of it that in depth. Now do you understand why this is a speed feat? Kratos had no problem fighting the Sisters of Fate, and they have these type of reflexes that they're constantly doing. It's crazy to think about Kratos doing this to these godlike beings. Imagine if they showed this in real time, we wouldn't even be able to enjoy the fight because they would be moving too quick. Fun fact about Helios is that he's actually a titan that changed sides. Surprise!
Great god Helios banishes Nyx from the night sky.
The bright light of Helios illuminated all of the underworld.
Yes, that's right. You heard that correctly. His bright light illuminated all of the underworld, which is an infinite plane, an infinite universe. Helios isn't even the god of speed, so Hermes should be on that level of speed or faster, because he's dodging attack from him like that. Just demolishing the Valkyries.
To catch a fly from the ass of Zeus is not worth my time, Hermes. To catch a fly from the ass of Zeus is not worth my time, Hermes.
Not only is he had no problem fighting Hermes and reacting to his godlike speed, considering what I already told you about Hermes and Helios and stuff, he considers him a fly. But Hermes wasn't using his speed during the boss battle. That's because of game mechanics, so we can fight him and enjoy it. Guys, we can't react at those speeds, so they gotta slow it down for our eyesight. I don't see why Hermes wouldn't be fighting Kratos as hard as considered what Kratos has done to Olympus so far. He's fighting for his life. I guess Hermes is a retard and not fighting his fastest, right? If you want to try to debunk his speed. No, he's just ridiculously fast. The game made it seem like a scrub, so you think he's slow, but he's not.
You don't try to catch me because you know you can't.
Kratos has no problem reacting to characters like Hermes, even while he's using his super speed. Even has like quick time events to show to slow it down for you. If he was just outmatched the speed Hermes, wouldn't he just straight up blitz him and Kratos wouldn't be able to like actually win the fight at all or land a blow? But if they made a boss battle with him, wouldn't you think they gotta have a way of reacting to him, right? And that's evident here, reacted there. Another occasion of him reacting just to show that it's not a coincidence. The game wants him to be this fast, guys. Yeah. Obviously, dodging arrows is nothing to his speed. Not only curb stomping his Hydra, but hitting it really quick in succession. Boom, 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 boom. Spike ball is high speed. He reacts to it. Kratos has had a ton of different abilities over the years when it comes to magic. Pretty much every element you can think of he's used at one point. Fire of Ares, where he embeds his swords with flames. He can fire project. He's lightning ability. Of course, you gotta have it because Zeus is in the game. Can summon like lightning strikes like on some Zeus stuff. He's even wielded ice. Yep, freeze his blades with ice and make like an ice little storm. Ability known as the Soul of Hades. And allows to throw blasts of underworld energy. He can literally summon a being to ground pound. Magically is Light of Dawn, blue to green flame. Some of these elements are just repeat elements, but just used in different ways, like Poseidon's Rage, for example, which is lightning ability again, lightning projection. Lightning bolts again, like Zeus's Fury. This is even used in cutscenes to show that it's not just in the game mechanics. They use Medusa's head as a literal weapon to turn or petrify beings and turn beings into stone. Transmutation. Other magic like Atlas's Quake, like literally be able to make earthquake and make rubble come out the ground. Shield of Spartan and arrows raining. Not only has he had a lot of magic, but he's had a lot of different weapons over the years that are overpowered as he is. It only adds to the fact that he's already super strong without the weapons. Piercing damage helps with his attacks even more, especially since the weapons are as durable as his body itself. I didn't bring up weapons much in this video yet because I wanted to really hammer it home that his physical strength is just ridiculous regardless of his weapons. Even though I did mention parts of the weapons here and there in the video to explain his strength, but I didn't really go full blown into it on purpose though. Even though in every game he seems to get new weapons every game, there's some weapons that seem to be a common trope, like these little blades. Even if they're not called blades of chaos, that he's always using some form of blades, whether it be blades of exile, blades of Athena. It's still technically the blades of chaos, just in a different form with a different name, right? Because I think every game that's new, they just want to give him an excuse to use different weapons so it won't be repetitive from the last game. The blades of chaos are actually godly weapons.
The blades of chaos, forged in the foulest depths of Hades. Once attached, the chains remained so, chained and seared to the flesh, a part of the bearer's body. In return, ultimate power.
They're strong enough to slice through metal, marble, or stone with ease. Of course, since they're godly, they better. He had artifacts like the Amulet of Ouroboros. Here, he created a spear where time was slowed down in the spear, but Kratos is immune to it because he's aware of the amulet. The O Stone of Oracle. He can create a black energy clone of Kratos that can stomp around the field and do the work for him without him having to fight as much. In God of War Chains of Olympus, he had this weapon known as the Sun Shield, which was basically his like defense for the game, right? Before the Golden Fleece. He wore a literal gauntlet of Zeus, was so powerful that it was used to chain Titans to the wall of Tartarus. He can even generate thunder with each strike, where he got Poseidon's trident that allows him to breathe underwater. Why did they even bother name these differently? I mean, we know they're the same thing. These weapons can slice through empowered statues that are powered by Zeus himself, letting you know they can cut stuff that gods themselves enchant. Of course, Kratos has this overpowered blade of Olympus, which I purposely haven't went over that much. He one-shots a Titan here just because I want to show off Kratos' strength. I haven't really been spamming much content of the blade of Olympus itself, but it's powerful enough to one-shot literal Titans. This one might not be as strong as Atlas or Kratos, but he's still strong enough to literally contend with the deities to some degree. Blade of Olympus is powerful enough to just break pieces of the statue of Rhodes. That's empowered by Zeus, of course, but he even can form shields or long-range energy blasts. Probably his most famous defensive item in the whole saga. Comes to parrying and blocking, or just deflect it back for the most part. He has this barbarian hammer. He can create massive shockwaves and even summon souls to beat you up. This head is kind of similar to the Medusa head, which can turn you into stone. So it's another Medusa head, basically. He also had a magical bow, probably my favorite one, that fires wind. Had the Spear of Destiny. When it comes to his bow and arrow, look how it can shoot different things. It can like make little guided wind that can follow you. Wind current shockwave type stuff. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up getting Icarus's wings, the claws of Hades. Remind me a lot of his blades of chaos for some reason, but it's just like a little different. Kratos to literally rip out souls, like I said earlier, power him up with their soul that he can shoot out flying skulls. Of course, he has the bow of Apollo, these Herculean weapons that he can use to just piece you up or box you up. They can extend and make shockwaves like that. And think about who he got these weapons from in the first place. You know the Nemesis has to be strong. He got them from Hercules himself, the god of strength, so you know they got to be powerful. These bladed whips that are kind of like the blades of chaos but electricity. The head of Helios literally ripping a deity's head off. Make ridiculously bright light to even characters like Kronos. Because of him ripping Hermes' legs off, he got his boots that allows him to sprint blitz style. He even got this new shield in the new game. He can block attacks from Baldur. It's also worth noting that this magical shield that Kratos uses can actually withstand the great impacts on which he strikes with without it breaking, like how he slams it against stuff, but it doesn't break on impact. So it's able to withstand Kratos' crazy strength. So you know it ain't normal. He has this Leviathan axe. Frost axe can literally freeze stuff. And that icy elemental, he can summon it back at will, kind of like on some Mjolnir stuff. He can chop down trees with this axe and summon massive amounts of ice. Legendary blades of chaos. They are imbued with never-ending fire magic. They can even work in a realm where no fire can create a blaze. They can still work in places that are super icy.
The realm of the dead is a land of unyielding cold. Fires cannot burn there, and no magic in all the 9 realms can create a blaze.
This is a good grid for the Blade of Olympus on why it's so mighty. First of all, you know this is the sword that ended the Great War with the Titans, of course, thanks to Zeus. Part of the reason why the Blade of Olympus is powerful is because it's a weapon forged from the heavens and the earth by Zeus.
A weapon forged from the heavens and the earth, the blade.
I banish you to the darkest pits of Tartarus.
The Gauntlet of Zeus, for example, is powerful in its own right. It can chain Titans to the walls of Tartarus, and it's still weaker than the Blade of Olympus, and is stronger than Titans such as Atlas, who can hold it up at infinite sky. It is also more powerful than Titan weapons like the Hyperion Spear, that has the strength to bear the weight of the literal cosmos on its back. Blade of Olympus is stronger than such weapons like this from a Titan weapon. And Kratos wielded this for such a time. But for the most part, that's just about going to do it. Do you guys respect Kratos? What new feats do you think he's going to get in the new game when he fights Thor? Like, had him punching each other through dimensions or some crap in the last game or something. We got the technology now. It's PS5 era. Let's go. Let's see his actual strength portrayed in the actual game mechanics. We actually have the tech now. No excuses. People out here thinking that Kratos is a building level being at best and stuff. And no, his muscles are strong enough. He does not need these weapons to be a threat. A helpful aid. He's strong on his own for you people that like to lowball him. How strong y'all think Atreus is going to be, though? I want to see him grow up a little bit more. Is he going to have super strength too? But I would also like to say thank you to everybody that has took the time to donate to the channel. You don't have to do it, and you do it. It helps out a lot. Believe it or not, it helps me bring more content to you guys.